Okay, at the same time that that Barack Obama is saying, you know, we tortured some folks, or some folks tortured people. Some folks? Like, you know, hey, you know, some folks just shot up Chicago. Oh, okay. No big deal. You know, some folks just robbed a bank. How is it that we let an entire administration off for their crimes? Now, you could argue this has been going on throughout the history of the United States, but I think it really went on steroids 40 years ago today when Richard Nixon resigned. And really, actually, about 3 weeks from today, or a month or two from today, I forget exactly when it was, when Jerry Ford issued those pardons. I think it was either 3 weeks or 3 months. There was this kind of honeymoon where everybody loved Jerry Ford. Oh, finally, you know, a nice guy from Grand Rapids who likes to play golf. He's not a crook. You know, he's not mobbed up like Nixon was. He doesn't know Bibi Rebozo. He doesn't know the Santos Trafficante and Carlos Marcello. And he's never taken a bribe from anybody. And then Jerry Ford said, I can't let Richard Nixon go to jail. We can't let Cap Weinberger go to jail. We can't let, actually, they did let the AG, geez, I can see his face, George Mitchell, wasn't it? Or John Mitchell. John Mitchell. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. They did let John Mitchell go to jail briefly, as I recall. And his wife went off, crazy stuff, and then they locked down his wife. Remember, they kidnapped Martha Mitchell, and then she died a little after that. It was all just weird stuff. For those of you who are old enough to remember, 40 years ago. But the point is that Jerry Ford said, okay, we're going to put this behind us by pardoning these people. In a country where in most states, or in many states, I don't know if it's most, in many states, if you are convicted of a felony, you lose for the rest of your life the right to vote. And in virtually all states, if you're convicted of a felony, you lose for the rest of your life the ability to say to a potential employer, no, I've never been charged with a crime. And that little box that you have to check on the employment application, have you ever been convicted of a crime? If the answer is yes, it dramatically decreases the probability of you getting a job. We talk about rehabilitation, we talk about putting it behind us, but Jerry Ford certainly, he did that for Richard Nixon, but he didn't do that for anybody else. And I think, one of the things that brings all this around is that this story, this is on the front page of today's New York Times, a shooting at a training academy for the Afghan military in Kabul. Here's what happened. Killed a 2-star U.S. general. We had a bunch of American and allied forces, right, coalition forces, training a bunch of Afghan soldiers on how to be soldiers for when we leave Afghanistan. And one of the Afghan soldiers was not really an Afghan soldier. He was there to kill people. And so he pulls out his, when they're all pulling out their guns and saying, okay, here's how you shoot or something, this guy pulls out a gun and he kills a 2-star general, and he shoots a bunch of other troops, and they're expecting some of the wounds are quite serious. They're expecting there'll be a number of more fatalities here. And then the guy gets, and then he gets killed by the people around him, and so he's dead, which was, this was like suicide by cop on steroids. Except it really wasn't, well, it was suicide, yeah, but it was also homicide. Which brings the question, why were we there in the first place? When George W. Bush revealed to the world that Osama bin Laden was behind 9/11 and that he was operating out of Afghanistan. And you go back and read this in the Washington Post. It was published in the Washington Post. Afghanistan said to the United States, if you have any evidence at all that Osama bin Laden had something to do with 9/11, present that evidence to us, and we will arrest bin Laden and turn him over to a neutral third country for a trial. And Bush was asserting he had all kinds of evidence, and apparently he did. But George Bush said, no, we're not interested in your arresting him. We want to bomb your country instead. This was a country that was the second poorest country on earth, that had an annual GDP of $2 billion a year. That's for everybody. That's all the economic activity in the entire country. And about 10% of that was aid. A $2 billion a year GDP. They were already in the Stone Age. And Bush said, no, we'll bomb you back to the Stone Age. So the second thing, you know, it's from the torture to the insanity of this war in Afghanistan. Why are we not holding people accountable for an insane war in Afghanistan and an even worse war in Iraq that, you know, left 5 million refugees and hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians dead? We're rightfully horrified by the pictures coming out of Gaza right now, but something very similar, something actually far worse in many ways, went on for a long, long time in Iraq at our hands and is continuing to now, you know, as a consequence of what we did. We broke that country.